bangers in the chat. King Pilled is back. What is going on?
I've been thinking about making some new intro music, and then every time I hear that one, I'm like, it's so good.
Yeah. Someone actually commented on one of our last episodes and said that it's the best intro music in the business, and I thought that was high praise.
That's a mighty fine compliment. Thank you, whoever said that.
Yeah,
I worked on that for all of like 20 minutes.
You know, that's one of the things you could do. That's one of your
make intro music.
Yeah, you could refine your skills. We need to, maybe that's the one thing we could add to it, is we could have like a really uncomfortable voiceover throughout the duration of it that says, really enjoy this intro music. It was made by Cooper Brooks. You can find him at cooperjbrooks@gmail.com.
Dude, I made a banger that I think is even better than that one that I gave to Mr. 2-Bit Jason to use on his Friend or Fed streams, and he did it on like one.
Come on,
and he hasn't
Jason.
used it since. So we might have to take that one back, because that one's a good one.
Yeah, we're going to copyright it. We're going to get that video that he used it on. We're going to get his channel struck over that. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah, that's right.
What's going on, gents? It is good to see you. We're back. King Pilled is here. I'm Matt. That's Cooper. And I think we got a banger for you guys today. The memes are starting to get really good. Like, this is...
Hey.
What?
Mr. Conrad Festung. We do have a YouTube subscription. $2 a month. You can sign up and be a channel member. But the subscribe star is where the magic happens.
Yes.
In the Discord.
Yes. It's actually $5 a month for the YouTube subscription.
Oh, $5.
Yes.
Excuse me.
YouTube channel member.
Oh, that's Jason. That's Jason.
Yeah, Jason's $2. We're the expensive ones.
Yeah, he's cheap.
Yeah, Subscribe Star is where the action happens. The Discord server has been absolutely jamming lately. A bunch of you guys have signed up, and it's a lot of fun. We're having a good time in there. Strongly recommend, if you're thinking about joining, very strongly recommend you do that ASAP. Because right now you can get in for $10 a month. However, because next week I'm going to be going on Academic Agent on Monday. I'm going to be going on his channel to talk about the PayPal Mafia.
We got to keep the Goonix out.
And then I'm going on Oren McIntyre to talk about PayPal Mafia on Wednesday. So we got to get the Goonix out. So you got to pay a Goonix tax, the tax to prevent the Goonix. You have to bear that tax. But fortunately, what you get in return is an awesome community of people where we talk about fun stuff. We have a good time. We also have serious conversations too. And people were getting real serious in there the other day, and I appreciate it. They were talking about how glad they are that they've joined it, what a great bunch of people it is, and I happen to take pride in that. So, shout out to all of you who are in the chat, who are in the King Pill Discord. You know who you are. We know who you are. And to anyone else who wants to sign up, you want to get in for $10? You can get in for $10, but it's not going to be a whole lot longer. I can't tell you exactly when, because I'm the one that's trying to set everything up, and I'm kind of technologically retarded, but it's going to, that price is going to go up. So anyone who gets in before then will be automatically grandfathered in. We appreciate our early adopters.
Man, I went to the store before. I was like rushing to get home.
Yeah?
I had an appointment, and then I had to go to the store. And I got to tell you, after not having eaten, I'm about to say something blasphemous to the Peters out there, but after having not eaten for like 4 days, those wingdings in the deli, oh my God, they almost got me, man.
Yeah, Cooper's been fasting. And he's been complaining to me about feeling tired and feeling weak and basically being a bitch.
Well, Jason says he used it for 2 years. Well, I only listened to one episode in those 2 years. You know?
Cooper told on himself.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, yeah, I was supposed to remind you, Josiah said that today is Thursday, so according to the code, it's cloth off. Or it's cloth on, rather. It's not cloth off. Cloth on Thursday. So, uh-oh. Well, you see, you guys may not know, but Cooper and Josiah are mortal enemies. Or at least, Josiah is Cooper's mortal enemy. I don't know how exactly Josiah feels about Cooper. But, so if Josiah tells Cooper to do something, then there's a very good chance he's going to do the exact opposite. So, I got just a fun little tidbit for you guys here. Went and voted in person for the first time in my life the other day. To this point, I'd always voted absentee, and this is the very first time I ever got to go actually show up in person and experience a little bit of national pride with the people in line. You know, everyone there were all like, "Yeah, that's right, we're here voting. Yeah, what are you going to vote for, huh? Yeah." Nobody's actually asking each other, but that's kind of everyone's just kind of looking at each other. They're like, "Yeah, that's right, we're here voting." There was a mom in line behind us who had must have been an 18-year-old kid, first time ever voting, and she's explaining to him like how the process works, what he needs to do. They're going through all the propositions, and Amy and I are just kind of watching each other and just listening to her right behind us. And she actually managed to do a really good job. I genuinely came away from it not entirely sure who she was going to vote for. Let's put it that way. She managed to keep it very neutral. I was impressed. But in case those of you who do not live in Texas or who live in Texas but didn't vote, these are the list of the GOP primary ballot propositions that we voted on. I sat down to show how dedicated of a Texan I am. I sat down and read through these as we were in the truck getting ready to go to the over there to vote, and that was how familiar I was with them. But fortunately, I didn't really have to do a whole lot of thought about most of these. These were actually I was heartened by the state of the Texas Republican establishment. If these are the sorts of things that they're contemplating, so here's the list. These are the 2024 ballot propositions. Number 1, Texas should eliminate all property taxes without increasing Texans' overall tax burden. That's an easy vote.
No.
No, you should do it while increasing our tax burden. That's what you should do. Even just that, like, here's how low my expectations are. I looked at that and I was like, wow, they actually thought through the consequences. So it's not just remove property taxes. It's remove property taxes without increasing the tax burden. So this isn't like politics 101 here. We made it to a 200 level class. Number 2, Texas should create a border protection unit and deploy additional state law enforcement and military forces to seal the border, to use physical force to prevent illegal entry and trafficking, and to deport illegal aliens to Mexico and to their nations of origin. These people definitely know who their target audience is. I'll give them that. Number 3, the Texas legislature should require the use of E-Verify by all employers in Texas to protect jobs for legal workers by preventing the hiring of illegal aliens. It's been a long time since I've seen the phrase illegal aliens used in official documentation. Number 4, the Texas legislature should end all subsidies in public services, including in-state college tuition and enrollment in public schools for illegal aliens. Number 5, Texas urges the United States Congress not to grant any form of amnesty or a pathway to legalization for illegal aliens. There's a trend here.
It's so stupid. It's so stupid that they have to put this out there for people to vote on. They should just do this.
Yeah. The state should do its responsibilities. Yes or no? Yes.
Yeah, right.
Number 6, the Texas legislature should prohibit the deployment of the Texas National Guard to a foreign conflict unless Congress first formally declares war. This is really like just reading through these ballot propositions, you could conclude a hell of a lot about the actual state of the U.S. federal government. $2 super chat here from Conrad Festung. He says, "Just joined the Subscribe Star. Cheers, gents." Well, thank you, sir. Welcome. I believe you are going to you're gonna enjoy this decision that you just made.
Oh, dude, you know what just occurred to me?
What?
I have a tattoo of the Great Schema. We're gonna get all ortho.
Oh no, they're gonna come after you.
Spurging out. They're gonna get me.
Oh man, you're a mockery. You're making fun of them.
Yeah, I am.
Little intro ortho bro humor here.
Yeah, take that off.
Just start scratching at it with a piece of glass.
Yeah, take an SOS pad and just start going to town.
Shout out the Prudentialist in the chat. He says the ballot propositions were good this year. Yeah. The Texas legislature, number 7 is the Texas legislature should establish authority within the Texas State Comptroller's Office to administer access to gold and silver through the Texas Bullion Depository for use as legal tender. The state of Texas should ensure, number 8, the state of Texas should ensure that Texans are free to give or to withhold consent for any vaccine without coercion. Number 9, the Republican Party of Texas should restrict voting in the Republican primary to only registered Republicans. Number 10, the Texas Constitution should be amended to restore authority to the Texas Attorney General to prosecute election crimes. Like, every single one of these is essentially like a vote of no confidence on the federal government. Even the presence of these as propositions to vote on is a vote of non-confidence in the federal government. Number 11, Texas parents and guardians should have the right to select schools, whether public or private, for their children, and the funding should follow the student. That's a novel concept. Number 12, the Texas Constitution should be amended to require proof of citizenship before any individual can be registered to vote. And number 13, Texas should ban the sale of Texas lands to citizens, governments, and entities from China, Iran, North Korea, and Russia. So, that's how things are going.
Nothing's happening, bro.
Yeah, nothing's happening. Right. That's how things are going in Texas. I do believe that there is a lot of evidence there for some happenings. Now, of course, the Prudentialist says every measure was saying, what will we do when shit hits the fan? Yeah, this is, you can see the mindset of the people that are involved actively in Republican politics in Texas. Say what you want about the leadership and, Ted Cruz and Wheels and the squishiness of a lot of these guys. On a party level, there's a very distinct appreciation for what time it is. So that's as a recent new resident of Texas, I can say that I don't regret moving here. I don't really enjoy a lot of the things about being here, but I don't regret moving here. So for the main subject today, this is another significant shot at the Nothing's Happening bros. There is, Patrick Spellman says, the only based Austin, Texas resident here. That is not true, actually. There are, I've had a number of very interesting people from the Austin area specifically reach out to me lately. There are many happenings happening in the Austin area. There's a lot of based Austin residents. By necessity, they're going to be hiding their power levels in general. Because for those who don't, I don't know who doesn't know, but for those who don't know, Austin is culturally kind of like the Bay Area of Texas. Houston would probably be more like the LA of Texas, kind of culturally. But that's what it's like in Austin. So if there's anywhere in Austin that is not, or if there's anywhere in Texas where you kind of have to hide your power levels, it's definitely Austin.
Isn't Joe Rogan in the Austin area?
Yep. Yeah.
Dude, you should go knock on his door and ask if you can come on his show.
Well, it's funny. Where we lived in Northern California, where we lived north of LA in Southern California, was like 3 miles from where he used to record the show. We drove past it when I was with Jason Stapleton. Every time I was driving to the studio, every time I was going to the grocery store, I'd be driving right past where his studio was. I considered sometimes just kind of being like, oh, hey, Joe, wow, didn't expect to find you here. Have you ever heard of Jason Stapleton? But never actually did it. Yeah, Alex Jones is in Austin. Michael Malice is in Austin. Chris Williamson, I think, is in Austin. There's a lot of good people in the Austin area. I know people are going to take issue with me characterizing all of those as good people, but I happen to personally consider all of them good people. So the rest of you can fuck yourself. So for the Nothing's Happening bros, I can tell you one thing that definitely is happening, and that is Gamergate 2.0 seems to be coming back online. For those of you who are not aware, now I wasn't. We get a rerun if you missed out on the first one because you're a Zoomer like me and you're a little young. You just heard the lore.
Yeah, you get another shot. You get to participate this time.
Yeah, that was I just reminded me of a tweet here from our good friend the Prudentialist, and I was going to see if I could. Here it is. He said, "Let's see how the sequel plays out here. Gamergate 2.0, Trump on the ballot again. Millions of more young men just wanted to play video games. Unlikable woman also on the ballot again. The West still in existential danger." This is we're getting a redux of 2016. It's funny how history kind of cycles around like this. So I wasn't really completely online in Gamergate. It was kind of it was kind of mostly stuff I learned in retrospect. It was funny. I was like, I did a lot of gaming, and then shortly before Gamergate, I pulled away from gaming completely when I left college, and then there was a blip there where I just really didn't pay that much attention to politics. So I mostly learned about this in retrospect, but I was going to just kind of briefly touch on it and just reference it. And for those of you who didn't know, I was just going to direct you to go read about it. But good friend of the show, Trey 50 Daniel, he dropped in, I believe it was him. I hope it was him. Hope I didn't credit the wrong person. But in a group chat, he dropped in this link and said, hey, I know you're going to be talking about this today. This might be useful. And actually, this is very useful because it's not just a, come on, share the screen. It's not just a history of Gamergate, but it's actually a contextual history with the context of what's happening right now. So the gist of Gamergate was that you have all the guys who just want to play their video games, and they began discovering essentially like an organized conspiracy among gaming journalists to begin policing them. Now this is 2013, 2014-ish. So this was before the SJW phenomenon even really came online. This was a like policing for for being the PC police was what the games journalists were doing. And it turned out that the reviewers and the developers some of them were sleeping with each other, and there was a whole big thing going on. And this wound up actually predicating the in my opinion, at least, I think other people I've seen say this as well, Gamergate was sort of what really kicked off the Trump phenomenon. It's what really began to develop the fundamental mistrust and hostility toward the media within the American populace. It started with, just young white guys on 4chan who just wanted to play their games. And then the Longhouse had to come after them. So they decided to go to war with the Longhouse the way that gamers on 4chan go to war with people. And this is where people like Anita Sarkeesian and Brianna Wu and some of these like proto online SJW types, this is where they really were brought to the forefront. It also made the careers of people like Milo and what's the little Sargon, and who's the little Malaysian gremlin? What's his name? The guy that just
Ian Chong.
Yeah, Ian Miles Chong. Yeah, that guy. He was another person who really made his. I can't remember how he started. I think he might have been a gaming journalist or something like that. Anyways, he started his grift campaign there. So this is an interesting tweet. This is from at @E_megas on Twitter. He said, an overall history lesson. The first Gamergate was all about people who were either employees of Silverstring Media or had connections to it. In 2013, they had an agenda to turn the video game industry into a platform from which only agendaed games and gamification projects for governments and corporations, the serious games, could emerge. To bring this about, they used their connections within gaming journalism, notably the Game Journal Pros mailing list, to arrange the narrative that existing gamers were vile, racist, homophobic sexists who should be shunned in favor of a better, more general audience. Ian Miles Chungus. Yes, that guy.
I heard, I saw something about, what's that guy, what's he from? Jeremy something? Apparently he's suing Ian Chungus.
Oh, really?
For being an asshole all the time. Yeah.
Oh, good. I support that just simply on the grounds of Ian Chungus is a obnoxious gremlin. You should be able to sue someone for being an obnoxious gremlin. Like, that should be the grounds for the case. This person is an obnoxious gremlin and they piss me off. Give me money. Okay, so he says, simultaneous articles were released from a number of outlets with this narrative 1 year later, all in lockstep. This was the Gamers Are Dead incident that led to 4chan V's discovery of indie developer Chelsea Van Valkenburg's conflicts of interest within game journalism. So you have an orchestrated agenda to weaponize journalists against a particular industry to declare with hostile intent the members of that community to be undesirables. So this is I mean, basically a practice run for what the media proceeded to then do under Trump. Now, I know a lot of the more doomer-minded folk might say this was them practicing because they knew that was going to happen. They knew that Trump was coming and they were going to sharpen their weapons to be prepared for him. And I think that's far too complimentary to them. This was them deciding they wanted to go after a particular industry, realizing that this tool happened to work for them to accomplish a lot of the things that they wanted, and then just by muscle memory using it the next opportunity they got. Because it turned out this kind of became really, in a sense, you could almost say all of American politics today is the Gamergate debate. It all the core of each side distills back to the people who were doing battle with one another through this whole thing. So it says this in turn caused gamers who had longstanding grievances with yellow journalism in the industry, going back nearly 2 decades, to proclaim they had had enough. Gamergate began at that point with the hopes of exposing enough of the truth to force the relevant press outlets to come clean about their undisclosed conflicts of interest and under-the-table promotion schemes. What they found through their digging was unexpected and not only exposed Silver String Media's connections to game journalism, but, not a complete list, extensive corruption within the IGDA and the Independent Game Festival Awards through rigging results and laundering the sales money through Indie Fund, the IGF's promotional fund, links beyond Silver String to government agencies and NGOs, and links to much larger AAA game companies who were up until that point inscrutable. Gamergate also raised a surprising amount of money for charities along the way, including one who Valkenberg's own newly minted anti-harassment organization vilified and tried to have falsely canceled when she saw them as competition to eliminate. So you can see in here, this is the roots of all these same behaviors that have become rote today. The standard operating procedures within the media and the media's relationship to the targets of its ire are mirroring exactly. They're exactly what this was. Gamergate succeeded in its mission when a number of relevant outlets conceded and updated their policies to report conflicts of interest. The movement disbanded thereafter, though certain independent operations remain to this day. Silver String Media, though, continues to exist, but many of its original members appear to have left to form ESG consultation companies belonging to cohorts of the much larger organization Baby Ghosts. So this is how the ESG mafia operate. They form consultancy or advisory companies that will ensure your ESG or DEI compliance for you for a cost. And if you choose not to work with them, if you don't want to accept their contract terms, then they're going to cooperate with journalists to publicly slander your company. And they're going to get away with it because the people who control the actual mechanisms of power in the country see them as useful idiots worth cooperating with.
Very mafiose.
Yes, it's genuinely like it's a pretty impressive racket. Yeah. Right. This is a good point here from Errol M in the chat. He said gamers only quote unquote won in that they had nothing to lose. They were not in power and still aren't. Yes. This is an important thing when you're dealing with combatants in a conflict. Is the one with nothing to lose is much should be feared much more. When you actually have nothing to lose, the man who's willing to die is much more dangerous than the man who's willing to kill. And if you're the one who has nothing to lose, that another way of saying that is functionally you're willing to die for the cause. You're going to see the cause out no matter what it's cost to you because you're not losing much compared to the whatever you might gain from winning. I think this is relevant to events today. We'll continue. This is where we are now. And Sweet Baby's exposure, we'll talk about Sweet Baby here in a minute, along with a section of the ESG consultant system with regard to video games, has led to questions about censorship and corruption in video games for the sake of fulfilling diversity, equity, and inclusion requirements. This time, though, these consultation companies are in every sector that finance firms like BlackRock provide funding to, which means that video games are only one section of a much more massive consultation grift, which leads inevitably to the organization these finance people belong to, the World Economic Forum. Thanks to X, this is general knowledge now. So Gamergate isn't just a movement about what's happening to Vidya. Sweet Baby is one contained node of a much more interconnected system of contractors. Thus, engaging this topic means you ultimately engage the rest of the system. Hence, things stand to be more difficult this time and more ops need to be built. Look, I know you people just wanted to play video games in peace, but... And then he has a screenshot, or he has a tweet that he's quote tweeting talking about the Sweet Baby issue. So, what is Sweet Baby Inc.? So for that, we're going to go to the good old Soviet Kotaku and this article. So, headline: Sweet Baby Inc. doesn't do what some gamers think it does. Subhead: No, one company isn't forcing diversity into all your favorite video games. So immediately you can see from the tone of this, you can probably picture exactly who is writing this. It should be no question whatsoever.
And you can already that's exactly what they're doing.
Yes. This is being written by a woman named Alyssa Mercante. Senior editor Kotaku, FPS freak, cat rescuer, spritz drinker,
Ooh.
fashion wearer. Definitely more than 33% Italian. So, we're dealing with the Longhouse.
Yeah, what's her photo? She's probably a dysgenic freak.
Didn't actually have one, which lends credence to that idea. Let me see if I can find her here real quick. What was it? Alyssa what?
Alyssa Mercante.
Alyssa Mercante.
Sorry, guys. I had to put the shirt back on. It's cold down here.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Woof.
Yeah. Called it.
You know what's unfortunate?
I know what you're going to say.
There's a pretty girl there.
Yep. Underneath all of this, there's an actually pretty girl who's been convinced to destroy herself.
Yeah. She's got like a demon wearing her like a skin suit.
Yeah. Taylor Brown says, man, just reading her name, you can smell the Pall Malls and use kitty litter. Yeah, right. So this is what she says. Sweet Baby Inc. is not the latest narrative design company in the games industry, nor is it solely responsible for the characters and stories in recent high-profile releases like Alan Wake 2, God of War Ragnarok, and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. But good luck telling some gamers that. Late last month, one of the company's consultants...
Stupid idiots.
Yeah, stupid fucking chuds. Late last month, one of the company's consultants discovered a Steam group dedicated to detecting games that Sweet Baby Inc. has worked on. Oh my God, they're detecting them. The purpose? To encourage people to avoid those games, because the group had deemed SBI was pushing a, quote, woke agenda by working toward greater diversity, equity, and inclusion. They're not pushing a woke agenda, guys. They're just working toward greater diversity, equity, and inclusion. Come on.
Yeah, duh.
The Steam group now has more than 100,000 followers in its own Discord that boasts nearly 2,000 members. But this ire against Sweet Baby Inc. and DEI initiatives in general isn't new. An October 2023 Kiwi Farms post shares similar sentiments, stating that the company's involvement in Remedy's award-winning 2023 action game Alan Wake 2 was, quote, possibly one of the biggest scandals in gaming history. The conversation around Sweet Baby Inc. has ignited a fundamentally misinformed, Gamergate-esque firestorm. Its employees have faced rampant harassment as a direct result. They're poor employees, man. Can you imagine? Industry figures have had to deny allegations that SBI comes in and completely changes their games. They had to deny the allegations. Can you believe that? I spoke with several employees of Sweet Baby Inc. to learn what the company actually does and how the misunderstanding of its role in the industry highlights a far broader problem. Oh, okay. She's just talking to them. They're just going to helpfully say what they actually do. And we just believe them. There's no question. They're telling you what they do. Why would we question them? What bad actors think companies like Sweet Baby Inc. do? The games industry has had its fair share. What?
Jason says, can we also acknowledge that a progressive company calling themselves, quote, Sweet Baby is pedo signaling?
Oh, yes, indeed. Imagine the people who work in this company, and then imagine meeting them and they say, I work for Sweet Baby Inc. Be like, you do what now?
I watch Lolicon.
According to the loudest members of the Sweet Baby Inc. detected Discord, The company is directly responsible for those failures, not the studios that employed them in the first place, because of the content Sweet Baby allegedly forces into games. Even games that are widely considered to be successes are not safe from these conspiracy theories. Alan Wake 2 game director Kyle Rowley took to X, formerly Twitter. It's really weird how I've noticed this with all mainstream media print. It always says X, formerly Twitter. This is like the default phrase. X, formerly Twitter. It doesn't say Twitter. It doesn't say X. It says X, formerly Twitter. It's very weird. Alan Wake 2 game director Kyle Rowley took to X, formerly Twitter, on March 3 to dispel rumors that Sweet Baby was the reason protagonist Saga Anderson was black, a rumor first traced back to the aforementioned October 2023 Kiwi Farms post. It's absolutely not true, Rowley wrote. But Rowley's concise statement, and similar ones made by other industry members, have not silenced the conspiracy theorists. They gave a concise statement, Cooper. They gave a concise statement, but the conspiracy theorists won't just shut up.
The protagonist is not actually black. Your eyes are lying to you.
Yeah. Speaking of Soviet. Now, this is great. On March 5, I managed to spend an hour or so in the Sweet Baby Inc. detected Discord before I was booted from the space. Likely because I identified myself as a Kotaku journalist.
Yeah, why did you do
Right?
that, idiot?
So you see how she imagines herself as someone who's actually dealing with real news. She's very important.
She's like doing the newsroom thing. She's out there sleuthing around.
And then she goes in and she's like,
hard-hitting joke.
"Hey guys, I'm a journalist here to do a hit piece on you guys. Want to answer some questions?" And they're like, "Fuck out of here, bitch." She's like, "Oh wow, I guess I maybe it was because I identified myself as their enemy. Maybe that's why they kicked me out." In it, members shared posts referencing Feminist Frequency founder Anita Sarkeesian, Marcus Aurelius quotes, and pictures of idealized female bodies in games. These are our guys. One image showed several pictures of the protagonist, Eve, from Korean developer ShiftUp's upcoming action game Stellar Blade, juxtaposed against female characters from Overwatch, Forspoken, and Life is Strange. Embrace tradition. Reject modernity is emblazed on the collage. I love these guys. Quoting, "Almost 2,000 members. There are already a bunch of infiltrated people here screenshotting everything, sadly. So just keep it cool, brothers. We can't let this server or the Steam group get taken down. That's all I ask. Keep it cool." Read a post from March 4, which was shared again on March 5. So she's basically, this is like sending out the bat signal. Go find the Discord, go infiltrate it, go after them, go to war. This is a call to war. Several people in the Discord expressed concerns about glowies, a term coined by members of the far right for those suspected of being federal law enforcement officials or their informants attempting to infiltrate their online spaces and set them up for legal consequences. I really wonder who the audience is for this. Like, who does she imagine herself writing to?
I was gonna say, I don't understand like gaming journalism at all.
It's
Gamers are not reading this.
Right. And like having to explain, this isn't even an extremely online meme. The glowies meme, you don't have to be extremely online to know what that is. So she's like writing this for boomers or something. So I think she imagines herself as like a legitimate journalist. And so she's like, well, what do legitimate journalists do? They write like this. There's specific practices. There's specific techniques that you're supposed to use. And this is how you, she's effectively just a chatbot. She's just been programmed to write in a certain language and just writes about the things she cares about using that language with a completely like autistic dissociation from who she's actually interacting with. Two members that spoke with me via Discord DM. Now this here, like the two members that spoke to her. So out of a group like that, how many of them do you think are going to be like, oh yeah, I'll talk to the chick. Let's kick her out, but I'll talk to her. I really wonder if the two members that talk to her are like her own people, basically.
Yeah.
Two members that spoke with me via Discord DM shared similar sentiments about why they believe the Steam page and subsequent Discord are important. So they can identify games that were developed with support from Sweet Baby Inc. and make an informed decision when purchasing them. Quote, Sweet Baby Inc. is a symptom of other ideological worldviews that I believe have taken hold of the Western world, media, and gaming as a whole. a 31-year-old member of the Discord told me. He also insisted, without providing evidence, that Sweet Baby Inc. adds race and identity group quotas to everything they're involved with. Can you believe that? He didn't provide any evidence. He didn't provide any evidence that these people that help with diversity, equity, and inclusion are involved in providing race and identity group quotas. How dare he? Sweet Baby Inc. isn't forcing diversity. It's happening naturally. And how do we know?
Of course.
We asked them, and that's what they told us.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and I think she actually believes this, too. Like, this is... Viewing these people as cynical Machiavellians is silly. These are not cynical people. These are children. She sincerely believes she's living a LARP. She sincerely believes everything she's saying. Though these kinds of social media posts argue that companies like Sweet Baby Inc. somehow force game studios to include diverse characters and storylines, the reality is vastly different. Sweet Baby Inc. is a narrative design company, meaning most of its work is focused on writing stories and dialogue. They are not a DEI consultancy firm. That means they ensure a game's plot points make logical sense and are satisfying to players, and that characters speak and behave in consistent ways. Consistent with what? Narrative designers may also provide a final round of polish, like a Hollywood script doctor. Oh, they're just doctoring scripts. I see. Ah, harmless. For example, the team worked on Suicide Squad long after the story was written, and even then they joined just to write in-game ads, audio logs, and NPC barks, CEO Kim Belair tells me over video call. Were you about to say something?
No, I'm fascinated.
She continues. Sweet Baby is, at its core, a narrative development company. Narrative development company.
Right.
This is quite the euphemism. That means anything from script writing to narrative design to narrative direction to story reviews. Oh, okay. So writing out the script, designing the narrative, directing the narrative, and then doing reviews on the stories. Like, this is, yeah. Taylor Brown says, okay, it's happening, but your fears are overblown. We are here. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really funny because at the start of this article, she's like, it's not happening. This is bullshit. And by the end, it's just getting more and more clear that it's exactly what's happening.
2-Bit Podcast.
But it's a good thing.
2-Bit Podcast says AI will replace them, and I'm here for that. Yes, it will. In fact, if you wanted to be a clever boy, then you might develop a software program, might develop an AI program that can do this type of thing, that can produce this type of journalistic content, automate it, and put these people out of a job. Okay, so one of the things that we do offer is cultural consultations or authenticity consultations. How do you get into this kind of like what do you come up and you say, "Oh, I'm really good at authenticity."
Yeah, what's the pitch?
Yeah. Oh, I'm very good at consulting on culture. Based on what? I'm good at it. Like,
yeah. I'm authentic.
For us, that generally means, yeah, I'm authentic. Look, it says so on my name tag. For us, that generally means that we might be asked to look at a story if there's a character in it who is marginalized in a certain way. And the studio wants us to connect them with a consultant who can bring in a little bit of authenticity. Oh, so you just hire a bunch of brown people. You usually, hey, we're gonna hire some brown people. Hey, look, we got a brown person. We got a brown one here. They'll tell you how to write your character because they're the same color. But the perspective is never that we're coming in and injecting diversity. We want to connect them with a consultant who could bring a little bit of authenticity to a marginalized character. But the perspective is never that we're coming in and injecting diversity. For the most part, it's the reverse. It's that a company has created a character and they want to make that character more representative and more interesting.
So we're making them less diverse by making them more diverse.
Yes, right.
We're doing the opposite of making them more diverse by doing that.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. Random username. Same pitch that black civil rights leaders would give to companies. Hire us or you get negative news. Right. Yeah, this is the grift. It's a fantastic one. It's a fantastic 21st century mafioso shakedown. It's just the digital version of it.
What's that dude? Is it Al Sharpton? What's the name of that guy?
Which one?
I don't know. There's a couple of them. the civil rights guys who are still around somehow.
Oh yeah, Jesse Jackson.
Yeah.
They're
still doing the grift.
Yep.
Still works.
It does, yeah. Sweet Baby co-founder David Bedard adds that contrary to popular belief, the people making these games want to make the experience better for all players, and that more diversity and representation is a byproduct of that. Quote, detractors would rather believe that there's a shadowy cabal of people forcing them to put that stuff in. They would rather believe a make-believe fairy tale than accept that, he says. Making something more representative and more joyful for a marginalized person in a video game is not a zero-sum game. It doesn't make anything worse for the male character in the game, for the white character in the game. So he picks out male and white. Those are the distinctions that he's making to identify who it is that he has in mind when he talks about detractors. The assumption that team members at Sweet Baby Inc., or any marginalized person for that matter, can only offer up content that is based on their identity is incredibly frustrating for the team and for marginalized industry members at large. So your business model is that you hire brown people, so when the studio says, hey, we have a brown person in our script, they could say, here, have our brown person tell you how to write that character. That's their business model. They're frustrated that someone would assume they only offer up content that's based on their identity. People can't imagine that we might do anything else but DEI, Belair says. They can't imagine that we're just talented writers, that we're talented narrative designers, and that people are hiring us because we tell good stories, because we collaborate well, and because we write video games. They have to diminish our accomplishments to our identities. They can't imagine that the work I did on Spider-Man was story work versus adding pride flags, you know? Identity politics purveyors come out against identity politics. This again, I want to point out again. These people believe this. It's hard. I think it's hard for people to wrap their minds around it. But these people are 100% sincere. They're not doing this cynically. This isn't a ploy. These people are genuinely this retarded.
No, they're just really talented writers.
Right. I mean, like, I don't know how many of you guys actually went to college, but if you went to college and you hung out with the theater kids, you understand these people. The theater kids are in their own world, completely in their own world. These are the people who will go into character as they're walking through the cafeteria. This is a very unique brand of autism.
Yeah.
These are not exceptional people. These are exceptionally stupid people.
Accusing us of having a shadowy cabal. Hey, look at our shadowy cabal.
Yeah. Cooper has a shadowy cabal.
Mm-hmm.
Sanji Vinsmoke says, I think we shouldn't underestimate their craziness. No, like, absolutely. But you have to realize the people that you're relating with are crazy. They're not intelligent. These people are crazy, and they live in their own insulated little world where they don't actually have to deal with legitimate feedback with the outside world. Which means they're very out of touch with reality. When you're dealing with an enemy that's very out of touch with reality, if you're in touch with reality, that puts you in a position of strength. Despite the intensity of the backlash over the past few weeks, it's business as usual for Sweet Baby Inc. Man, look at them just plugging on through. What an inspiration. The companies they work with haven't been scared off. They've actually offered advice and best practices for how to move forward. Practices they've developed after facing harassment of their own, Belair tells me. Oh, they're being harassed. Can you believe these customers harassing the companies that sell stuff to them? Can you believe that? The gall. With that kind of support in their corner and the shared love for writing good stories, the team at Sweet Baby Inc. is determined to forge on and keep working on a litany of games, both announced and under wraps. We are a narrative company. That primarily is our work. We are not censors. We have no interest in false diversity or in tokenization. We have an interest in making stories better and making characters more interesting, and in developing a stronger language around narrative design. Those are the things that we're really passionate about, Belair says toward the end of our conversation. If you're going to come for my work, you can do that. If someone says I wrote a story and you say it's not good, that's totally fine. But if you're going to come for me, at least come correct. Don't be loud and wrong.
Is he gay?
It sure sounds like it. He talks like a gay guy. And given the environment, given his industry, very, very good chance of it. After chatting with Sweet Baby Inc., I returned to my Discord DM with one of the members of the group rallying against them. With the help of Belair's own words, I explained what SBI actually does, its core focus on narrative work, and how DEI is only a small part of their remit. He would budge.
It's only a small part.
Yeah. We're not a DEI company. It's only a small part of what we do.
Yeah, we don't do DEI. We don't do that. It's only that much.
The man in the Discord DM wouldn't budge. With all due respect, it really just seems like the same thing to me, but I'm a bit more hands-on in the writing process. With all due respect, it really just seems like the same thing to me, but just a bit more hands-on in the writing process. The end goal is to insert DEI-type stuff into the project they're working on. Huh! He picked up on it. Sweet Baby Inc. and other industry leaders suggest that this dogged insistence on believing one company is forcibly injecting diversity into games is a side effect of a widespread misunderstanding of how games are actually made. Stupid chuds, they don't even understand how the games are made. Just shut up and play your games. You don't even know how they're made.
Yeah, idiots.
Until the industry is more willing to openly discuss development processes, the lack of transparency will continue to be used as a straw man for bad faith arguments that characterize DEI as an imposition by nefarious, unseen forces, rather than an effort to cultivate a more accurate reflection of the world around us.
I told you. You just flat out admitted at the end of the article.
This should be a white pill. This should be a white pill. These are our enemies. These are not our enemies. These are the foot soldiers of our enemies. That's even more damning. This is what they can mount. You just have to be smarter than the average bear. So there's a new phenomenon that is now developing. This is very this term managed democracy. This term's a lot of fun. I like this. I like the way these things are moving.
Coming full circle on democracy.
And I'm gonna share a couple of things that I came across that are leading me to believe this is more than just a. I think it'd be easy for someone to say, "Oh, this is just like shit posting on the internet or whatever. This is just like video game guys or whatever." But if you think about the people who went through the Gamergate phenomenon, the seasoned Gamergate veterans, they might have been, college students, high school college students, maybe early, mid-20s, something like that. But that was 10 years ago, 10, 12 years ago. So all of those guys are like 30 and up now. These are like actually like members of the professional class, at least ostensibly. And now we're seeing all of this Gamergate stuff being picked back up again, surrounding... I don't think they're necessarily directly related, but they're tied in very closely. The release of this new game, Helldivers 2. Now I haven't played it. I haven't been able to play video games for forever. I don't have the time. I would love to. This is actually one of the ones that's made me think about, maybe I just need to buy it and just play it for the experience so I could talk about it. I haven't gotten to that point yet. But I would really strongly recommend listen to the conversation that was done yesterday on, I think it was on Oren McIntyre's channel. It was between Oren and the Prudentialist. They were talking about it. And they had a really good breakdown of how this leftist art is fascinating because they're trying to produce art that sells the message fascism bad. But all that they succeed in doing is like the only things that they can maintain in the game that are fascism coded in some way are wearing cool shit, shooting guns, and having a safe, happy, healthy society full of national pride. And it's like, yeah, I'll take that. If that's fascism, I'll take it. I definitely will live in that environment. So they're producing this art. So Helldivers 2 is produced in Sweden, and it's intended to be satire. It's just a ripoff of Starship Troopers. And it's intended to be satire. This is supposed to be like imagining how horrifying and awful it would be if their enemies were to take power. If the evil fascists were to arise and we were to have this like spacefaring society and we're doing combat with gigantic bugs. And like the world that they create is genuinely amazing. It would be awesome. Every single white guy who sees this is like, hell yeah, sign me up. Let's go. Let's go. I'm ready to fuck up some bugs, man. So the memes that have been coming out of this are just phenomenal. Like, we don't even need to make our own propaganda. The regime will make the propaganda for us, and we just co-opt it. Look at this. Show the screen here.
Mr. Burden's in the chat. Hello, Mr. J. Burgum.
Oh, what is up, Jay Burden?
Your interview with Andrew Klavan was very good.
That was phenomenal.
Listened to that this morning.
Yes. It was way too short, but
yeah.
Jay was doing his boomer whispering, and he was doing it well. It was funny watching him. He made Klavan squirm.
Just when they were starting to get real good. Getting into the good stuff. And then, we got to wrap. Shut it down.
Right. And he was like, what did he say? He said something like, oh, I can't do any more of this. Well done, man. Beavers in the chat. Beavers in the chat in honor of our good friend Jay Burden. So look at this. Look at this absolute just banger art.
I love it.
Deliver, manage democracy. Don't you want to live in this world? There's like fighter jets wearing these cool suits that are kind of like a cross between the Mandalorian and Halo. Wearing capes, fighting giant bugs, deliver, manage democracy. All of the art, the entire vibe of this game is this is like a political ideology unto itself. It's beautiful. So I tweeted this yesterday, and I said, democracy is when emperor.
Whatever, like, you've spoken about this sort of new political ideology that's arising amongst, like, the PayPal Mafia crew and stuff. We should call that managed democracy. I like it.
Yes. You're getting ahead of us here, Cooper. That was the that's the intended takeaway. So you've given people a sneak peek. Actually, I forgot to share this here. This is funny on the Sweet Baby Inc. subject. Make sure I get the right. I think it's this one. Yes, this one. So, with all of this controversy happening, this is tweeted 16 hours ago by Real Gamer Geek. He said, I find it very interesting that Sweet Baby Inc. decided to edit its website amidst all this controversy and decided to redo their mission statement, removing all mention of them diversifying games. Again, this is more evidence to me that these are naive, stupid people who genuinely believe their own shit. So this is what it said before. Founded in 2018, Sweet Baby Inc. is a narrative development and consultation studio based in Montreal and working around the globe. Our mission is to tell better, more empathetic stories while diversifying and enriching the video games industry. We aim to make games more engaging, more fun, more meaningful, more inclusive for everyone. So remember, this is the mission statement for the company that we just read an article about where they were introduced as not a DEI company. They said, we are not a DEI company. See, what we're focused on is diversity, equity, and inclusion. We're not worried about DEI. We just care about diversity, equity, and inclusion.
And that's only a small part of what we do, by the way.
So this is what they changed it to. We begin with an all-hands review and discussion of the project material. Everyone at Sweet Baby sees your project and shares their thoughts, feelings, and ideas. We do this because it kicks the project off with a multitude of perspectives, beginning a conversation that ensures the work is richer and more resonant before it's even put to paper. We then create and complete narrative deliverables by keeping the player in mind with a focus on user experience and emotional design. We aim to consult with honesty, transparency, and a conversational approach to help find the best direction for your project. Okay, so one thing that's obvious is that this was written by a feminine, spiritual mind. The second thing is the way the second one reads to me is as if they took the first one, plugged it into ChatGPT, and said, "Say this without using the word diversity or any derivative of it." I think that very well may be exactly what they did. So they're from Montreal. So 2-Bit is BTFO'd. We have to blame him for it. Fucking Canucks.
Yeah, no kidding.
Okay.
They're like LARPing as Michiganders.
Oh, shots fired.
Yeah.
So here is an idea for you guys of what the what the vibe is, what the Helldivers 2 vibe is, so you guys get a feel for it yourselves. Now, if you're listening to the audio on this afterwards, we are on all the Apple Podcasts, Spotify, everything. If you're listening to this afterwards, you'll want to go watch this part. We're about 56 minutes into the show. Just go find that spot on the YouTube video and watch this, because you got to see the visuals on this one. Share here. All right. Now, I hope this isn't... Okay, audio is probably okay. Let me know if it's too loud or too quiet, and make sure you can hear it.
Androids and liberal sympathizers flooded the streets of the nation's capital today in protest of the sentence.
Look familiar? Scenes like these are happening all over the galaxy right now. You could be next. That is, unless you make the most important decision of your life. That you have the strength and the courage to be free. Join the Helldivers.
Oh, isn't this incredible? Now, I should have clarified before I said that. So I've been equating the Helldivers 2 phenomenon online with the actual game itself. I haven't played the game, so I don't know if this is taken directly from the game, or if this is like a like fan fiction, or like fan art kind of made from it. Someone in the chat, I think Prudentialist is in there. You could tell me if this is actually from the game itself. But this is the meme. This is the vibe that everyone has been taking from it. Now I'm seeing this managed democracy term all over the place. Like I said with the last one, democracy is when emperor. This is the phenomenon that I've been picking up from Bukele and Milei and Vivek in particular. When you listen to them talk about democracy, they use the terms, they're using the lingo, but this is the vibe that they've been giving off. So I tweeted this, and I'm going to play this other video for you guys. Now, this one I know is fan art, like I don't know, video fan fiction.
I want to go blow up bugs.
Prudentialist says the audio is from the game, but the clips aren't from the game. I have more visuals of the game on the Substack piece I wrote on it. Go to the Prudential. I think it's the prudentialist.substack.com. Just the Prudentialist on Substack. Go look up the piece he wrote on it, and he's got the actual visuals from the game. So this other guy put out this video, and I came across it yesterday, and I was mesmerized by the performance and the aura, and what it indicates. I said, I've been noticing something bubbling under the surface of the recent rhetoric from guys like Vivek, Bukele, and Milei. They've began to subtly redefine democracy contextually as something like, quote, an investment of popular will into a powerful executive who rules at the behest of the people and goes to war with oligarchic crime rings on their behalf. It's pretty clever rhetorical judo. You saw this in Bukele's speech after he was reelected, the one he gave from the balcony of the National Palace.
Yeah.
He talked about democracy as power of the people. And the way he's framing this, he's not saying it explicitly, but the way he's framing it is that he is like the first citizen, which was the title that Augustus took. He is the first citizen. So he's the ruler, but he's also the first of the citizenry. He's the delegate of the citizens to rule as an authoritarian autocrat and to do battle with the forces of crime and evil that are seeking to subvert the people. So he's the embodiment of the interests of the people in one person. Managed democracy is a fantastic phrase for this, because at least for me, I hear managed democracy and the question is, okay, who's managing it? It automatically begs that question immediately. And it works very well because democracy has become a term that is number one, democracy has become a term that's basically been completely like deterritorialized. It is completely lost its connection to any of its original connotations at all, which means it's just kind of laying there waiting to be used. It could be the use of the term is contingent upon its utility. So if you can provide a better application of utility to the term, if you can tell a more compelling story with it, we're a narrative-driven species. That's why Sweet Baby Inc. has their entire business, because we are a narrative-driven species, and they know if you change the narratives, you change the minds of the people. So if you could tell a better story about what democracy is, you could redefine it, you can use it yourself. Because in reality, what we have had for at least since FDR, you could make the case longer than that, we've had a managed democracy. So then the question becomes now, do we want a poorly managed democracy or a well-managed democracy? Now that puts the competency issue directly into the front and center. Because the reality is the people who govern us are supremely incompetent. They're supremely malevolent, which makes that incompetence really dangerous. But the biggest downside of them is their incompetence. Because now we have all these different institutions where there's nobody at the wheel. Nobody's actually driving. Historically, this is the problem with democracy, is that democracy is using the traditional connotation of it, democracy is a way for everybody to shirk responsibility. The buck doesn't stop with anyone. So responsibility just gets pushed off here and there, and nobody ever actually has to take responsibility for it. This is the way that these bureaucracies function. It's a blob. There's nobody who actually is ultimately responsible. So I think this framing is powerful. We're not anti-democratic. We actually want to see the fulfillment of democracy. And democracy is fulfilled in the personage of our representative. Our representative who takes power to protect his interests, which happen to align with our interests. We align our interests with his, so that when he takes power and he protects his own interests, ours are protected as well. He could do battle better against our enemies than we can, so support the strong man. I think this managed democracy thing, I think there's really something to it. Let me play this video here for you, and then I got some more thoughts on this. So this guy here, I should have prepared his I think it might have what his channel is, because I want to give him credit. I went and followed it.
My browser's spurging out. I'm going to jump out and back in here real quick.
Okay, sounds good. While you're doing that, actually, I'm going to just try to find. No, I won't. I'll just wait. I think it's something like Christopher Tester or something like that. I retweeted him just recently, so if you want to go follow him, then you can go do that.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, Senate. My name is Colonel Valenti. Some of you may recognize that name as my brother. General Valenti was standing in this room where I stand, pleading for reinforcements not 7 days ago. And now, my brother, your general, lies dead on the battlefield. I am not like my brother. I will not plead for reinforcement.
We have the same microphone.
Will demand them. And if I do not get my Helldivers, you'll have a third front. Is that clear? No, this is not a threat. This is a guarantee. My Helldivers fight for democracy, and they fight for freedom. So tell me, why are the bugs a mere 100,000 miles from Super Earth? Is this your plan? Do you even have a plan? Because my nephew, The son of your great fallen general could have come up with a better one in a matter of days in between his sippy cups. You fool. You coward. I suggest each and every one of you arm yourselves, for this room is no longer safe. Not without the reserves.
You have heard our friend Jason from the 2-Bit podcast talk about vengeful sun energy. That right there is vengeful sun energy. And I couldn't help but be reminded of Bukele in Parliament down in El Salvador when he marched in and went and sat in the chair of the chair or the speaker or whatever. I don't remember what term they use. And then he prayed. And then he came out and he says, everyone in the world knows we could have pressed the button. We could have pressed the button, but we're going to be patient. We're going to wait. You get a chance to solve this problem. If you don't solve it, we're going to. This is the same vibe. You notice what he says there, my Helldivers. They fight for democracy and freedom. This, I mean, I don't know if this is just like being an American thing and having like blood memory or something. But that shit gets me hype. So this is a this is a whole vibe that I think as this Gamergate thing is starting to pick up, and we're seeing a revival of it, and it's going to be much more significant this time around, I think, because of the implications of the DEI ESG issue in the broader populace, the broader body politic as it were right now. It's going to be a legitimate hotbed because allowing, like in the past, it was, this is like a wing of the internet that nobody really pays much attention to. Oh, it's that kid stuff that they're doing. But now there's a lot of very influential people who remember Gamergate very well on both sides and who hold a lot of resentment. And, the second battle is often worse than the first because now there's held in resentment and memory of the past and everything. So this happening in an election year, of course, is significant. The last one was not in a presidential election year. The lead up to it was. But I've been thinking for a while that it seemed like there was the energy had been kind of flagging. There wasn't a lot of, Trump seemed tired, and it was like everyone's like, yeah, we're going to vote for Trump, but because he's the best thing we've got. But Trump is now in a lot of ways is closer to the establishment. He's less of an outsider than he was before, and the stakes are a lot higher. It's kind of like the Wojak, who first he's all like happy and optimistic, and then after 8 years he's like all like grizzled with a cigarette hanging out, and he's like your favorite meme. I don't know, man. I'm going through some shit right now.
I got a lot going on.
Yeah. So, but now, really, since it seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, if someone else sees this differently, but it seems to me like a lot of this energy has picked up since the Vivek phenomenon began, and Vivek rejoined, or he aligned himself with Trump, dropped out and aligned himself with Trump. Elon, and then that corresponded with shortly thereafter was the Texas border thing. Elon's very publicly talking about that. He's getting more and more blatant about immigration, illegal immigration, calling out that this is deliberate census meddling to achieve electoral majorities. And, he's calling it like it is. And a lot of the other members of the so-called PayPal mafia or people adjacent to them are identifying the same thing. They're all talking about it. It's all become very clear. It's a common public talking point now that the Democrat Party exists for the sake of organized crime.
You did it again.
I know, I did it on purpose.
The shit-eating mud
people. I want these people to know they don't belong here. We strongly believe in immigration controls here. One of them is we're going to insult you if you're not one of us. Of course, if you are one of us, we're probably going to insult you as well. That's just kind of how we relate to each other. One
of those is endearing, though.
Yes, that's right. one other story that I had here to share. Actually, before we get to that one, this is somewhat related. The contrast in these two, there's two Halo ads here. The contrast is going to be absolutely striking. It's incredible. So this is for ODST, 2009 Halo commercial.
Him from sure.
That makes me very sentimental. You know what
Takes me back.
You know what makes me just downright angry? This.
I'm a Marine.
next
Of
one.
course, Spartan swap low ammo plasma pistols for rocket launchers. Dorks.
I'm a Marine, and of course the Master Chief doesn't realise I'm not wearing Mjolnir armor when he's driving off a cliff!
I'm a Marine. Of course Master Chief couldn't complete his mission without us.
I'm a Marine, and I have no idea how I got dragged into this mess.
I'm a Marine. Of course, Spartan swap low ammo.
What was that?
That is Halo ad 2024. What have they taken from us? That is genuinely the exact same content as like there's a kids TV show called like Gecko's Garage, and it has the exact same delivery, tempo, like tone of voice. I don't know how these people can exist in the same universe, like the same world. How do you?
Apparently, it's a TikTok trend.
Yeah, that. Of course, I'm a such and such. That's a TikTok trend. So yeah. These are like, think about the level of sheer incompetence one would have to produce something like this, and think that this is them being good at their job.
Like your target demographic is a bunch of young guys, and what do young guys want to do? They want to blow shit up.
Yes.
They want to get excited about like killing aliens and bugs and shit.
Right. So the irony here is, even if you wanted to be really conspiratorial and
TikTok is for women. You're marketing to women.
yeah, right.
Who don't buy or play your games.
Even if you want to like say this is a scheme. This is a scheme to like disenfranchise the chuds out of their games. Like, well, number one, okay, you're just lighting money on fire and torching your own career, and then in the process of doing that, you're pissing them off. So now you've got a bunch of guys who want to be able to fantasize about suiting up as Master Chief and going out and killing bizarre creatures, and instead you're depriving them of that, taunting them with a fake version of it, and thinking that this means you're winning. There's a reason why the Helldivers and Starship Troopers and Halo, why all of these things are in the conversation the way that they are. Right-wing
Yeah,
people
there's
are
the
rallying
video.
around this.
There's that video that from some Halo trailer that Kyle posts every now and then, with all the Spartans coming down, the fucking music playing, and they're blowing shit up, and it's like, I know it's a video game, and I feel kind of gay saying it, but that shit gets me excited.
Right. I mean, really, the fact that we don't have to deal with this stuff in our day-to-day lives just normally and haven't for, I don't know, however many generations, is not like an unmitigated good. It's not just all upside that we don't actually have to deal with, having to fight wars and deal with people invading our homeland and, all that sort of stuff. Because if you actually have to, then it sharpens your character. It hones you in ways that kind of end up going dormant otherwise. So the good news is, I guess the good news is that the worse things get, the better the men we get by necessity. Okay, so I had those there, and then the last thing I wanted to share here is for those who think that Charles Haywood is wrong and that the election of Trump is not inevitable, this here is probably going to black pill people on the idea of Trump being elected, but it should make it very clear that Trump is going to be elected. So this guy had tweeted out, in his remarks at the ADL summit, Jared Kushner says Jews should be more understanding and appreciative of evangelicals. Here's what he said.
Another important line of effort we must pursue is to strengthen and celebrate the many mutually beneficial relationships with groups from other backgrounds, with the Muslim community, with the Black community, with the Asian community, who have a lot of respect for the Jewish people, and very importantly, with the Christian community. I was very disturbed recently when I saw a Pew poll that showed that evangelical perception of Jews was a plus 40, and Jewish perception of evangelicals was a negative 40. I had never met an evangelical living in New Jersey and New York until I went on the 2016 campaign, and I can assure you they were much different than what I imagined. When you have a people that likes you so much, we should be making more effort to get to know them, to get to understand them, and to build those relationships further.
So I strongly recommend, if you can stomach it, go listen to his whole speech. It's about 20 or 25 minutes long. It's entirely, what's fascinating about it is this is a Jew speaking to Jews and speaking to them as if he's speaking to Jews. So you see the way that they're relating to each other and the things that are important to them and what they're thinking about and how they're viewing the world. Now this here, he's a son-in-law, whatever. To go to the ADL themselves and say, we need to be more compassionate and understanding and trying to build bridges with Trump's base is a significant move. This goes with what I said here was, at first when I saw it, it kind of didn't look like him. I think it's just the video is a little lower quality. And I couldn't find anybody else talking about this particular part of it. So when I found it, I ended up watching almost the entire thing. And one of the most interesting things is for the last maybe 4 minutes or so of the speech, he contrasts how good Trump's time in office was for the success and prosperity of Jews versus Biden. And he said, he used the phrase that the UN is like the global haven of anti-Semitism, or the global cathedral of anti-Semitism, was what he said. So again, the UN has a life expectancy here. You have a very prominent Jew at a conference of all the Jews saying the UN needs to die. So I actually found it and found the actual part of it. So I said, first we have Jamie Dimon telling people to be more compassionate and understanding of their MAGA countrymen. Then we have Jared Kushner at an ADL summit, encouraging them to see Trump's base as allies and contrasting Trump's term with Biden's term vis-a-vis success and prosperity for Jews. If you still think it's a question who's getting elected in November, I don't know what to tell you. It seems very, very clear to me that the way that the all of Trump's legal issues have kind of just drifted away. Now they're like basically what they're hinging their hopes on is that Trump is elected and the House just refuses to certify his election. And I know that there's still people out there who think, they would totally be able to. No. If Trump gets elected, if Trump actually is elected, like the votes wind up where Trump has more votes than Biden, then if the House is like, no, we're not going to certify it, there is going to be, they don't have the spine to withstand the level of social pressure that they will have. Not to mention economic pressure that they will have to certify it. You can see all the different most influential organizations making peace with the fact that there's going to be another Trump. Because now Trump is the predictable, the stable, containable option to them. They know what they get with him. And the financial interests really want Trump. There is a battle going on between the Americanist managed democracy enjoyers, if we can start that idea, and the globalist World Economic Forum cabal. It's very clear that this is what's developing, and the managed democracy type. I've been trying to kind of figure out what's the through line that connects these three primary cliques that I'm noticing that are seeming to form a coalition, which would be the Project 2025 would be one part of the coalition. The American commercial banking apparatus would be another part of the equation. And then the third one would be the Silicon Valley technocrats, American dynamism types. All three of these people, all three of these parts of this coalition are moving heavily in the direction of Trump and heavily in the direction away from China and the quote-unquote globalist agenda. Individually, each of those little parts of the coalition, they wield some influence, but they're probably not going to be able to turn the tide on their own. But combined, all three of them together, that's a legitimate political force. That's a redefine the state of your system level force, or at least it can be. Not necessarily, but it can be. The potential is there. So I've been trying to think of what is these are three fairly diverse groups of people in terms of their interests, their incentives. What is the through line that connects all of them? Because they're not nationalist per se. That's not a term that would encompass all of them. But they all want America to have a strong national interest. They want America to be a strong political entity with a strong military and a booming economy. They want to be able to protect their national interests. They want secure borders. They want stable governance. These are things that all of them want.
Jason says, Kate, is anyone else getting creeped out by how exactly my Neotrad prediction is playing out down to the evangelical push?
Yes, right?
Yeah.
When he first said it, I was kind of like, oh yeah, I guess I could kind of see something like that going down. And I mean, this was like, I don't know, 6 months ago, 4 months ago. It was not that long ago. And that's how quickly all of this has shifted. It's changed in a major hurry. Now, to be clear, for those who are, we've got 187 watching right now. This is quite a bit more than we usually have. So there's probably people in here who may not be familiar with Jason's Neotrad prediction. Basically, what he said was that we're going to see the rise of the Neotrads, a recovery of the spirit of like somewhere between the 1950s and 1990s. I think he said more 1950s, but I think it's probably more accurate to extend it out because there's influences of the 90s as well, especially with the tech guys. But it's the fashion and the language and the vibe of traditionalism becoming popular again. The mainstream is moving toward the millennial con Inc. people. So it's a very neo-traditionalist vibe, but it's also it's not objectively a complete good thing either. It's gonna be very cringe. Like one example is that you're not gonna have degenerate gay people in public anymore. You're gonna have decent gays. You know, you're gonna see the Dave Rubin gays are going to be very upset with all the degenerate gays for making them look bad.
Drinking piss.
Yeah. You know, we need to have our decent child trafficking laws, our decent child trafficking industry, where you know, good, honest, down home gay people can get married and have their white picket fence and wear their sweater vests and you know, kidnap and hold hostage kids that aren't theirs. We just mean to be decent, but it's going to have that same like traditionalist vibe to it. Yeah, 90s gays again. This is part of the reason why Peter Thiel is so significant, because he's essentially the model that everything is beginning to congeal around, for better or for worse. So the thing I've been trying to figure out what's the thing that unites these different factions, and I thought, you know, libertarian nationalists kind of sort of gets at it, but it lends to all kinds of different like wrong ideas. They're post-liberal, but they're not anti-liberal. So I've been trying to kind of nail down exactly what it is without just kind of running through the specific issues that they value. And I think managed democracy covers it really well. It's like just vague enough, but it's also just kind of sort of neutered enough, but then it's also kind of a euphemism. It's a very compelling term. And I think managed democracy is something that they would probably be like, yeah, we do a managed democracy. We still give our lip service to the idea of democracy, but we use the democracy now becomes like the good of the people, where it's a sincere effort to be the good of the people, actually treating people like people and not necessarily just interchangeable widgets. There isn't the like fight to the death for absolute liberation and egalitarianism across the board. It's something I don't think we've really seen a political ideology like this before. I think we're seeing the creation of a new political ideology. And
I think I can put up with the cringe. I think I could handle that. I could handle the cringe if people are like, yeah, wearing their Chuck Taylors and blue jeans and tucked in white t-shirts and have pompadours and stuff. That'll be kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Cafe racers.
Okay, so Jason said, check my DMs. He just sent this to me. So let's see what this says.
Anti-Semitic.
Here's my other prediction. And you guys can hold on to this. I'm going to make a clip. Hold on to this. I won't say how many years it'll take, because that's beyond me. But when wokeism is done and is never mentioned again, ever, right? Or used in like only referential kind of things, like, whew, what a crazy time, what a crazy decade, right? After that happens, there'll be a period of normalization, and then the next thing is that all these screaming liberals, Bill Maher's and all the people, wherever that, will flip a script into becoming traditional neo-traditionalists, like some sort of tradition, like a version of Peterson overnight. And people in your family who are blue-haired, gender fluid, et cetera, will be wearing very nice frocks and talking about apple pies.
Your lips to God's ears. It's possible. Listen, I wanted to find.
I guarantee it. I guarantee it.
So there it is. And I'd say we are very well on the way to that. We're moving very much in that direction. The vibe that it gives me when I've talked to him about it, and he's described kind of what he's envisioning, it makes me feel very much like what's the horror movie, the one weird black guy, Jordan Peele, the Get Out,
yeah.
his horror movie Get Out, where you kind of have that very unsettling, like bright, happy, soft colors and everything's sunny and everything, but it's really unsettling because there's clearly something really dark lurking under the surface. That's kind of the vibe that I get from his prediction, and that's where I see us moving. We're moving in a direction like that.
Uncanny Valley.
Our buddy Hines in the Discord, he's made this prediction for a while. For a while, I didn't really agree with him, but now I'm getting to where I'm agreeing with him, like incredibly, that we're not at the collapse right now. The collapse is probably 30 or 50 years down the line. Where we're at right now is some sort of a temporary forestalling of the collapse, where you get a temporary sort of recovery of some competence, more conservative impulses. Everything's pulled together, and we sort of have a little bit of a lull before descending into the full collapse. And if that's the case, then the onus is on us to take advantage of these years. Like, we're not going to be the ones who experience the full collapse. Our children are. When our children are our age or a little bit older, that's going to be the full collapse. We may not live to see it. But our job is to prepare our children to be able to weather something like that, and to be able to prepare their children for it, and to build, in the meantime, the things that are going to survive the collapse. Because when there's a collapse, it's not going to be a meteor hitting the Earth. And if it is, then who cares? Like, who cares what we build between now and then? The meteor's going to hit the Earth, and we're all going to die. So whatever. But it's going to be there's going to be a collapse. There's probably going to be war, and there's going to be a transition to a new order. And the question is going to be who's going to win that war and who's going to establish the new order. So the time for that, the time for building, is now. That's all I think I had for today. Hour and a half is a pretty good spot to stop. You got any other thoughts, Cooper?
Very good. No.
All right, let me check the chat here and see if Joshua Ham says it takes a long time for a corpse as large as an empire to fully decompose. Yeah. All righty, folks. Well, that sounds like a slogan. Prepare for the full collapse. Yeah, that's actually pretty good. Prepare for the full collapse. The U.S. will not survive the next paradigm shift because it doesn't have an ethnos as per its proposition. Yeah, I think the United States as a governing entity will not survive, but I think the seat of power for the next order will likely be within the borders of the continental United States, if that makes sense. So I think the entity of the U.S. federal government won't survive, but whatever does survive and whatever does rule, I believe, will be the most influential ruling body in the future will be located within the continental United States. That's my hypothesis. But I think we're definitely... I think we're even basically at the multipolar order already. We just haven't fully realized it. And I think that a lot of we're seeing a contraction mechanism from the empire contracting back into a nation. That's a lot of the movement. What if you could kind of coalesce this managed democracy coalition that's building, that's their vision. Whether they would say it explicitly or not, it's we can't have a global empire at the expense of our nation at home. We have to maintain our nation at home. So then it's going to turn into a fight over what is the nation? What are the nation's borders? How is it defined? What is its structure? Who is actually in power? And this reminded me of someone that actually, I was going to share this. Let's see. This here. So someone... one of the guys on Twitter replied with a really interesting reply, and he said citizenship, you mean SLA? And so for the uninitiated, this is an SLA, a service level agreement. An agreement between a service provider and a customer. Particular aspects of the service, quality, availability, responsibilities are agreed between the service provider and the service user. The most common component of an SLA is that the services should be provided to the customer as agreed upon in the contract. As an example, internet service providers and telcos will commonly include service level agreements within the terms of their contracts with customers to define the levels of service being sold in plain language terms. In this case, the SLA will typically have a technical definition of mean time between failures, mean time to repair, mean time to recovery. identifying which party is responsible for reporting faults or paying fees, responsibility for various data rates, throughput, jitter, or similar measurable details. This here, if you have a bunch of technocrats that get involved in the governance of your country, you should expect them to want it to operate like the successful organizations that they're already familiar with. So, I mean, Moldbug was prescient in his predictions. We're going to see we're already even the World Economic Forum vision, the stakeholder capitalism thing, is essentially just describing privatized governance. We're going to have private governments, quote unquote, whether left wing or right wing. A 15-minute city is just like a privately owned city. What they're projecting with this stakeholder capitalism is the idea that every company has stakeholders and owes a duty to those stakeholders, and its stakeholders amount to literally every human being possible. So the existing state of governance has been the managers, which would be the state, who are employed by the larger institutions, the banks, the corporations, the larger institutions. We're going to watch the death of the managers. The managers are going to be sacrificed on the altar of managerialism. And the question becomes then, you're either going to exist under the benevolent authoritarians who have eliminated the managers because the managers are a source of corruption and graft and subversion, or you're going to live under the totalitarian authoritarians or the tyrannical authoritarians who, and the question of which one is up to you. Because to our enemies, our benevolent authoritarian would be a tyrannical authoritarian. To them, their benevolent authoritarian would be a tyrannical authoritarian to us. But either way, it's going to be authoritarianism in one form or another. Because the managerialism is self-extinguishing. All right. Well, I think that's good. We got 208 in the chat. Of those 208, it looks like half of them are on YouTube. So we've got 107 on YouTube right now and only 46 likes. Give us some likes, people. We appreciate your likes. Thank you for your likes. To everyone else, you must be on Twitter. Thank you for watching. If this is your first time, then you could, if you're on Twitter, you can follow me at RealKingPilled. If you're on YouTube, please like the stream, subscribe, hit the notification bell, do all the YouTube stuff for us. Helps us out. Do us a favor and throw us a comment on the stream afterwards. If you're watching this later, that also helps us with the algorithm.
Come hang out in Discord.
Come hang out in the Discord. Go to subscribestar.com/kingpilled and sign up for the Kingpilled Discord. You can get in for $10 a month now for just another couple of days, because I'm going to be going on Academic Agent on Monday, and then I'm going on Oren McIntyre on Wednesday, both to talk about the PayPal Mafia. So if you'd like to get in now, because the price is going up. We're going to have to rigorously police our borders. Otherwise, I think that's all I got. No open panel this time. I've got some stuff I've got to do, and we weren't planning on it. So, but we are going to do some more open panel discussions. That was fun. We'll let you guys know ahead of time if we're going to.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, right. There was people who were complaining about that fact. Well, too bad, folks.
The White Claws were good.
Yeah. All right. We'll talk to you later, guys.